right on to stay there with me.
I know that he married and started his family. He married Ada, which was Zolly's oldest sister.
Yeah, that's right.
And how old was she when she died? Do you know?
Who was that?
Ada Green.
Ada Green, Josie.
That's Zolly's oldest sister. He's the one that married. She married my granddaddy.
Yes, she did.
And,
First time. That's the children's mother.
yeah, that's Monroe and Callie and Hack.
Yeah.
But I believe she's buried up in Smithville
Yes,
somewhere.
she's buried in Smithville.
Do you happen to know which cemetery they used up there?
Bonham Graveyard, they call it.
The Bonham Graveyard.
Yes, that's what they call it.
Well, I've got a trip planned up to there, and I want to visit some of the graves and everything. I found Uncle Zolly's grave up here. The
You did.
instructions y'all gave me helped me.
Yeah.
Well, I left from here, went over there, and found the stone and everything.
Yeah.
So Uncle Monroe had tried to help me, but I didn't know exactly what he was talking about. So
Monroe, how is Monroe getting along?
well, I usually see we have a pastors conference down here at the West Highland Baptist Church every Monday, and I come here and we meet with the other Baptist preachers around, and usually since I have to come to town every Monday, I go over and see him, and I saw him last Monday, and he's doing pretty well. He's got a cold, but his health is still good. He had a big garden this year, and
Oh, he has a garden every year.
he's still selling turnip greens.
Yeah.
But I thought today, instead of running by to see him, I'd come and set a spell with y'all if you didn't mind. So,
Yeah, we don't mind it a bit.
but
We
it's
like
awful
it.
pretty day outside, and
Yeah.
everything's real nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my visit last time, but he's told me a lot about the family. He says he was about 7 years old when Ada passed away.
I guess it was. Haskell was small, but
Haskell, my age.
Haskell, I don't know how old he was.
He was born in 1905. When was your birthday?
Fine.
Y'all were the same age then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Hack, he passed away. I guess he's been gone over 10 years now. It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
A long time.
Did he die before Zolly did?
Well, Lord have mercy, yes.
I
A
forget
long time.
whether he died first.
He's buried up here at McConnell Cemetery.
Yeah.
And but what Uncle Monroe says was that so his granddaddy was on the Green side was Monroe Green, and I believe when Uncle Zolly's mother's name Martha.
Yeah.
Martha Green, and they had a little place that was on Granddaddy Green's land there, and just a little ways. He said that when Uncle Monroe said when his mama got sick, they came in took a straight back chair and carried her from the little place where they were living over to the Green place, and to take care of her. And he said that she died that night, though. He doesn't remember.
What's the name of that road, Effie? I'm hoarse, I can't hardly go.
Did he's talking about his mother?
Ada.
Ada.
Oh, you talking about Uncle Martin?
No, it's talking about Ada.
Oh, Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember were you mentioning the road where they lived? Do you remember where they?
Up
in Smithville?
Ada died. Ada never did live here.
No, she died up in
died
Seats.
Smithville.
Yeah.
She
Ada died
lived in the Moss Hall.
Yeah.
Moss Holler.
Yeah, they called it the Moss Hall. That's where they lived.
Hmm.
That's where she died.
Yeah. And he couldn't remember what she was sick from. He couldn't. It's pneumonia, or
I don't know what she said.
said she was pretty frail though.
Yes, she
most
was.
of her life. You know.
She was. Never. Ada never was well. Never was. I don't reckon. She complained all the time and stayed in bed near all the time. Neely had the work to do, nearly for him, and he had a hard time. Neely did. Oh, she was sick, weak. I guess maybe she She could have had TB, I don't know.
It
Oh,
might
She was
I
sick
made
a long
died of
time.
TB.
be. That was real common back then,
Yes,
wasn't it?
sir.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
They couldn't
I
cure
believe
it.
it. Yep.
Now, y'all's folks, the Laws, y'all, did they come
right.
from Smithville?
Yeah, they come. We all come
Right.
from Smithville.
Did y'all live near Moss Holler around through there? What part of Smithville did
Yeah, I've
y'all?
lived in the Moss Holler when me and Dolly married. We went there and stayed a while, and they moved on top of the hill up there at a house on top of the hill, and then me and him followed. We left there too. I was afraid there in daytime. Down there just big enough for a house to sit in, and the holler went straight on, and I was down there in that holler.
What did Zolly do? Was he a farmer?
Yeah, he was farming. He worked at the farm, and after we would come out here, he farmed the first year he farmed, and then he went to the cotton mill and went to work.
Holmes Creek?
Well,
I saw a little church brochure in here that had to do with Holmes Creek,
yeah.
and that's for the Baptists. It's for their association at Caney Ford. Those all sound familiar to me. I've seen
Yeah,
all
that's
those names.
way down there where Papa
Yeah.
them used to go every year.
All right.
Now, Neely's daddy was a Methodist preacher. Were your folks Baptists or?
Well, I guess they were. Wasn't it, Josie?
They call themselves predestinarian Baptists. I guess that's what folks used to call hard shell Baptists. And
Yeah, that's right.
hard shell Baptists.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I like a lot of what they believe. They got some good sound doctrine in what they preach and
Yeah,
teach.
that's
But
right.
um,
That's what my daddy was.
really, well, I tell you what, it's all good. I thought I was the only preacher in my family, and then I found out that Neely's daddy was a preacher, and
He
so
was.
yeah, so he was a
I
Methodist
know
preacher.
he was.
There's a man named William Hale who wrote the history of DeKalb County, and he says a little bit about Arch Bain. He was he wasn't most known for his preaching. He seemed to be more well known for leading singing. I think he would go around a lot of these tent meetings and
Yeah.
things, and when a lot of other folks would preach, he'd lead the singing. So evidently he's a good singer.
Yeah.
I didn't inherit that from him though. But Uncle Monroe says that of course he's still got a good mind, and he's still got a good memory, and I think a lot that he tells me is real reliable. Callie was born in 1902. Now Ada and Neely married in 1900, 1901, something like that.
Yes, someone's on there.
And then Callie was born, and then Uncle Monroe was born, and then Hack was born when he was in 1905.
And then a little girl.
Did they have a little girl after Hack that?
Yeah. The baby, Nora. She was born after Hack.
Daddy was born about 1902.
Yeah.
Right.
August
I
2nd.
think I believe Callie was born 1902.
Oh, she's same age out.
Is she born 1902?
1902. I think it was August the 2nd.
I think it is.
Did you say there was a baby named Nora
Yeah, after Hack.
after Hack? How long did she live?
Well, she lived to be about 5, I guess.
Well, I didn't know that. So she was still living when they came down here to Alabama, wasn't she?
No,
Was
she
she not?
didn't. She wasn't. After me and Zolly come, she lived about a month after we come.
Do you know why? I know that after Ada died, that Uncle Mun is what Uncle Monroe calls him. That he pretty much took Neely's kids and they took them in and raised them themselves.
They did.
Because he had to travel around and work. Uncle Monroe said he worked some on the river, and he did some logging. He worked cotton gins, and just wherever he could find work.
He did. He found. He
Neely
stayed
just
off.
turned his children over to Uncle Mon.
Yeah.
That's right. Neely hired out to my daddy, and I don't know how long, Effie,
He made 2 crops with us.
Well, he made 2 with Dad, too.
He did.
So he worked for Mr. Lyles and he worked for Mr. Green too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
farming.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, he worked. Well, he made 2 crops with us, and last he made it on the Wilson farm. Down
the
here.
Wilson farm.
Yes, the last crop he made with us. was
That's
on
after
Wilson.
you moved down here.
Yes, after we moved down here.
Well, I'm trying to piece some things together. It's kind of hard to track Granddaddy down because he had to move around a lot. I know he was gone a lot, and
Yeah, he did.
he never really owned any land of his own. He always farmed
No, he
other
never.
people's places and things. So I can't
He
find
didn't-
any deeds or
No,
mortgages
he
or
didn't have
anything.
none. He lived with Zolly's daddy till later died.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. And then they taken the children and raised them. Neely had to work here and yonder and go in and see them and take them some money to get groceries with.
Oh, I believe there's a lot of Baines that came on down to Limestone County and then over into Morgan County and things like that. And I kind of have a notion that it was the Greens who came here first.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Do you know why Mr. Monroe, why Mr. Green came down to Alabama? Why he decided to move?
I guess he come because we were here. I imagine it was.
So you and Zolly came down first.
Yes, we come first.
Do you know why
We
there's
come-
work down here and the reason Zolly came?
Yeah, we worked down here. We come to the cotton mill and went to work. We didn't that year, but the next year we made a crop. The first year we come.
So you came down to farm first.
Yeah, we made a crop and down on across the river. And
Closer to Decatur?
no, closer. No, it's just way on down yonder. What
On
was
the
the name?
river, Elk River.
By the Elk River?
Yeah,
I guess I was thinking of the Tennessee River.
yeah. I guess we went way on down yonder. We went about 20 miles from here, didn't we, Josie?
I imagine it's Elk River.
I guess it was.
Was you when you met your first husband, Miss Beagle? Did you marry him up in Tennessee or did you meet him down here?
Right here.
Right here. What was your first husband's name?
My first one was Alton Anderson.
Anderson. That's right. I remember Mr. Beagle because he told me about the puppy dog. I don't guess I'll never
I
forget.
heard him late.
Right now, I hope you won't mind me using that to remember, but I won't forget it that way. Because I used to raise beagles. That'll help me remember. But yeah, I was looking in the census records and everything. I found you and Zolly's name down here first. So
Yeah,
y'all-
we come first.
Yeah.
After Pap and Mammy come, we come after they come. We come down here to them.
Okay, who's Pat and Mammy then?
That's my mammy. And
Okay,
Pap.
so the Lyles came
That's
first.
Lyles.
Okay. And
Yeah.
do you know why they came? Would they just come to work in the mill, or?
Yeah, they come to hunt work. That's
Well,
right.
I was trying to find some reasons because usually the Bain people had lived in DeKalb County for nearly 100 years, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they uprooted and came down here. So I guess did times get hard around Smithville?
Yeah, that's hard up there. Couldn't hardly find work.
Couldn't get work.
It's hard up
Were some
there.
places closing down, or was it just because there was more people?
Weren't nothing to close down. Just had to work out and cut wood and do everything and haul wood and like that to make.
So there was just
That's what my daddy done.
Just timber work and then farming, I guess, just to help out make ends meet.
Yeah, he didn't farm none. My daddy didn't. He did. He just worked in the woods all together.
So when
They
he,
worked for 50 cents a day.
that'd be hardly wouldn't make it today, would it?
Right, 50 cents a day. They fed their family.
My goodness. Now, so your mom and dad came down here first to work in the cotton mill,
Yeah.
but that was, had your dad ever worked in?
No, they come down here at first and made a crop on the river.
Okay, the Lyles.
And that's when Solly and Effie come
I see.
later. And they made a crop on the river. But Dad left the river and come here
I see.
and got him a job, a hauling.
Got a
for the
solid
mill.
job.
hauling for the mill.
And we all moved up here.
He had a wagon and a 2-horse mule.
The cotton mill,
Yeah.
okay, well, he'd worked in timber before. Was that a big change for him to go from timber to cotton?
Yeah, he hauled cotton all
He
together
hauled
here.
cotton.
Hauled it to
Different
the,
things to the mill.
When he came down and worked on when y'all started farming, when you first got here to kind of get your feet,
That's right.
get back on your feet, did you just farm on somebody else's property, kind of share crop, or?
yeah, sharecrop.
But you didn't buy any land?
No, we didn't buy no land.
Well, that's I think North Alabama was really growing during that time, and there was a lot more work
Right.
here. I believe about anybody that wanted work could come here and
there's
get
a lot of
work.
here going.
There wasn't much money, but you could live.
Yeah, could get better, I guess,
Right.
in Smithville. I guess there was a lot of people. Did you have a lot of people that you lived and worked with up in
That's right.
Smithville, moved around this area?
Oh, yes, they just kept coming.
I guess that was
A lot of
good to know, though, when
Yeah.
you wasn't alone anymore.
That's right. They kept coming. All of them. I don't know what the families come here and went to work after we did.
What was the name of the cotton mill here? Who owned it?
Lord, Thomas Brown,
Fulton's cotton mill is what it was.
Thomas Brown,
Frog and Fulton?
yeah.
Well, y'all must have been awful brave to be one of the first ones to light out. I guess you'd lived all your life up there in Smithville,
Yeah, I
hadn't
was raised there.
I was 4 years old.
you? You were when you came down to
Yeah.
Alabama?
Yeah, right.
Y'all come down in a wagon?
No, not all the way.
Walked some, and did you have automobiles? I don't guess many people had cars and things.
Yeah, you see them cars, it scares you.
I guess for a 4-year-old, it was probably a great deal scary, wasn't it?
Now, there wasn't but one car in this town when we come here.
When y'all got here?
And that's old Dr. Hagen's car. The county bought him a car.
So he could get around to the city.
And people to see that car coming, they'd run out to the road to look
What?
at it. They didn't know what to think about that car running.
What did the horses think about it? They probably spooked them, didn't
I
it?
guess it did.
I like to hear about things like that, but it's hard for me to imagine it.
Well, that's just one car, and it's just one seated.
It's one
It
seat.
have 2 seats. One seat, and he is just room for him. And he went to see sick folks in it, you know.
Yeah.
And the town bought it for him. And then it wasn't long till there was another 2 come along. Just 2 or 3 cars. But there wasn't but that one when we come here.
When y'all moved into town, do you remember where you lived? Is it very far from here?
Yeah, where we lived right down there on the old cotton mill village.
My Uncle George used to live over there, George Bain.
Yeah. Yeah, they lived there, and we lived down there. The night we come, we landed right there.
And so, what was Mr. and Miss Lyle's names? What was their first names?
Reuben was his name.
Reuben
and,
Lyles.
And Nancy was her name.
Do you know what her mom and daddy's name was? What was she before she
Yeah.
married?
John Johnson.
John Johnson was her dad.
Hannah Pack.
Hannah Pack was her mother?
Yep.
Well, that's it. What kin was she to Hattie Pack, who married Monroe? See, Monroe married Hattie Pack. I just
Yeah,
wonder
I
if she was
know
any
she
kin
was.
to
I
Hannah.
don't think they were no
think
kin.
so.
I don't
No?
think they were.
Maybe if nothing else, just distant cousins or
I
something
don't
like
think
that.
so.
But let me scratch out my piece of paper here. Y'all told me all the kids in y'all's family last time, and let me check them and make sure I got them all down. Let's see if this is the right piece here. I don't believe that's it. Let me see. Well, just help me name it. I've got my tape recorder running again here. Here we go. Maybe this is it. Yeah, this is it. Okay, there was Eddie. That was one of your brothers.
Yeah,
And Jack.
yeah,
And then Effie. That's you.
yeah.
Is that short for something, or have you just always been Effie?
Just Effie Jane is my name.
Effie Jane. Okay. I didn't know if that was a nickname or what they used to call you. Or,
That's my name.
okay. And then Claiborne.
That's right.
Claiborne. And Oakley.
Opie. Oh, no, not
Opie.
Opie. It's Opie.
O-P-H-E.
Okay, O-P-H-E, Opie. I need to change that. Okay, and I've got Amer.
Alma.
Okay, so A-L-M-E-R,
Yeah, that's what we called her.
Almer. And that's a sister.
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking that was a man's name, but I was wrong.
No, that's
Okay, and Opie, is that a brother?
who?
Opie?
Oh, that's her sister.
Is that a sister? Okay. They'd get mad at me if I knew I was saying that, wouldn't they? But that's and then Altie,
Yep,
and then Josie.
that's me.
And you were the baby?
Yep.
You ought to hold that over their head, but let them always know you're the youngest.
You better be.
All right, did I miss any of them? Here's
No.
Hallie. There's Hallie.
Yes, Allie.
Allie.
That's a sister?
Yeah.
Okay. And Claiborne was a brother. Okay, did I leave anybody out then?
No, you didn't.
Oh, that's all of them.
Okay, well that's a big family. Let me see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of you.
Yes, she had 9 children.
Well,
9 children.
well, how many of y'all still living?
3.
3 of you. Althea is the only other one living. isn't she?
Altie's the one. Altie, me, and Josie.
Well, do y'all get to see each other as much as you'd like to?
No, not Altie. We don't. She's not able to come.
Well, I hope you get to see her
I
maybe
did-
around Christmas time or something
I got
like
to
that.
see her about a month ago. She come in here one Sunday. Louise, her daughter-in-law brought her. Her boy died, and her daughter-in-law brought her. She's living with her, and that's the last time I've seen her.
Well, I hope she's well.
I do too. but
I'd like to meet her sometime.
She's not well.
Well, if she gets to come down for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, I sure wish y'all'd call me on the
Oh,
telephone or
don't
something.
I will.
I'd like to meet her. I sure would. I saw her picture there. As a matter of fact, I made a copy of the picture, and so if I saw her again, I'd recognize her
Yeah.
in life.
Did
But
you have any picture made? Hey, Marthy.
yes, I made some copies of that. If they turn out all right, you can have one of them if you'd like to.
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, now who was Aunt Martha? It was
That
Dolly's
is Dolly's mother.
Oh.
That's her.
Monroe's
husband's
grandma,
okay.
one that raised him.
Okay, that's right. That'd be
Yeah, that's who.
Well, I've got to load up and let you look at it again. If you really think that's her, that'd be really a find.
I see, I look just like her. I believe with all my heart that's her.
Okay, well, it was just a little bitty picture, and
Yeah, I know
I've got it where I
it's
can
nice.
blow it up a little bit bigger, but it's a real old picture, and it's an elderly woman that's taken, so it could very possibly be her. If any, Callie, if anybody have a picture of her, of course that was Callie's picture. That's where I got it from. Either Callie or Hack or Monroe would be the ones that would have
Well,
one.
that's where you got it, ain't that same Marthy?
It ain't, honey. I don't think.
Well, I'll tell you, I know
You
it
may
is same
know,
Marthy.
but
It looks just
I
like her.
can't see it.
Did you say you'd ever heard of anybody having a picture of Ada?
No, I didn't. I said of her. I never knew her to have a picture made.
Well, she could have had that made before you ever.
Have
No,
you got a picture of
maybe
Ada?
you'd wait.
No, ma'am. I'm just looking for one. I'd like to
People didn't make pictures.
not
then.
too often. Not too often. The oldest pictures I've got are pictures of Neely, and I've got some real old pictures of him.
I had a picture of Needy, and I don't know what went with it. It's not in there. Either.
No, ma'am. I didn't see it in
Well, I
there.
sure had a good picture of Needy standing up old, and he had it made several years ago.
I've got one that was made after Ada passed away. I think it was made shortly after they moved down here out of Alabama.
She's talking about. That's what she's talking about. That's when he had some made.
Yeah.
Real good picture of him.
Yes, it was an old picture, but it's good. It was a good picture, but it's old.
Yeah. Uncle Monroe's got one that got him standing up with his hand on a chair. I made a
Yeah.
copy of it, and it's real old. It's probably was made in around 1912 or 1915. And the best I can figure is that Monroe Green brought all the Bain kids down here around 1910, something like that.
I guess he did.
And
I don't know, just 1910, let me see.
I imagine somewhere there.
I think Monroe said he was around 9 years old when they moved down here.
Yeah.
And so that would, he was 7 years old when his mama died. That would put that, let's see, he was born in 1902. Yeah, he was born in 1902. Let me try to think though. I've got that all listed. I get dates confused myself.
Yes,
I've studied them up. But I think he was about 7 when his mama died, when Ada died, and then he was about 9 when they moved down here. So, but when they came down here, did they move in with y'all when they first got here?
No, they didn't move with us. They moved to themselves.
Just their own
They
place.
went over to Dick's, that's his brother, Dolly's brother, and stayed that night and let us know the next morning he was sheriff, they were sheriff. And then they moved to themselves.
Did they start farming right off, or
Yeah.
to try to make a crop? I guess that was the best way to do it, wasn't it? Try to make a crop as soon as you got here, and then
Yeah.
try to find
He
work.
weren't nothing but a farmer.
Yeah, Uncle Monroe said when he was 12 years old that he was pretty much in helping his Uncle Mon run the farm and trying the best as much as a 12-year-old boy could do, I guess.
It was right.
Yeah, that's right.
But well, that'll help. That'll answer a lot of questions. He said that while Uncle Monroe was helping his granddaddy Green farm, that Neely kind of said he did some work over in Huntsville, and he worked where they was clearing timber down here for the Wheeler Dam and everything, and he would come in and bring them some money and help them make sure, that, I know it was a big chore for Mr. Green to try to raise them all.
Yeah,
But,
it was a job. You know it was.
Yeah.
And them old, and his mother was disabled to do anything for her. She had a bad cough, and she coughed all of her life till she died, didn't she?
Reckon she had tuberculosis,
I don't think she did.
but just a bad cough.
Just hung on, just
emphysema or
stayed
something
with her.
like
Yes,
that.
sir, he just stayed with her. And she'd have to take a spell of coughing every morning when she got up.
Uncle Monroe says she's buried out at Isom's Chapel
She
out
is.
there.
Yeah.
Martha Green. Well,
Right.
I've been out there and visited there. There's some.
You can't find nothing.
No, it's evidently she didn't have a stone, but
Right.
Monroe said she was buried out there, and y'all have, so I'm sure she is. I just it's not necessary to know exactly where. But can you remember all of Zolly's brothers and sisters' names? You said Dick.
Yeah. Dick Jim was his name.
Okay, but
they just nicknamed him, called him that. And then Ada and Mag and Canny. That was all of them.
Canny. That's an unusual name.
And Mag.
Mag. Reckon her name was Maggie or Margaret or something like that.
I don't know, they called her Mag. I don't know what to call her.
Was Canny a boy or a girl?
A girl.
A girl.
One boy.
And then Zolly he's the baby.
Yes, all there was a baby.
Well, they had kind of a small family compared to y'all then, didn't
Yes,
they?
she did. They did. That's small family.
Well, I was, let's see, there's a picture here that I made a copy of. Let me see if I can, it's in an envelope kind of like this. I was going to ask you about some of these. I know some of them are small and real hard to see. Here. I think that's you and Uncle Zolly, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Where'd you find that?
It was inside this envelope here.
It was.
Uh-huh. I think it's a real good picture. I made a copy of it.
I had that, I thought that was lost.
That ain't
Yeah,
yours. That belongs to that boy.
No, that's hers. I made a copy of it.
My boss.
But it's the original, I imagine.
Yes, that's us. We made that when Wilson was in service and sent him on. He wrote first.
Do you remember where was it made here in town or?
Yes, made up here in town, but I don't know where. It's been so long I couldn't remember to save my life.
Look like you're a little sad, maybe because he was in the service, or something like that.
It was sad. I said that's the awfulest time of me
I guess
in the world.
you worried to death about him, didn't you?
Were as more trouble than I ever was in, seemed like. I'd rather see them. I'd just soon followed them to the cemetery.
Well,
It's followed.
I'm sure a lot of mothers felt that way.
Oh Lord, it was awful.
Well, I drew out some others that when I first moved here about a little over a year ago, I met a man that works up at Eckstein's Grocery up near Ardmore, and his name is Ray Taylor.
I know him.
Why, yes, sir.
That's Solly's,
Now,
cousin, first cousin.
Okay, now his mama was named Serena,
Yeah,
or they
that's
called her
right.
Sreeny,
Yeah.
and I found this newspaper clipping about her death in your box here. Now,
He did.
yeah, it says funeral services for Miss Serena Taylor, 79, were at the 5th Avenue Community Church. Miss Taylor was a resident at 5th Avenue, which was right over here, I guess,
Yeah.
died at Limestone County Hospital. And it mentions Ray down here, but what kin was he to y'all?
Well, now, Sreeny and Zolly was cousins. They weren't double cousins, was they?
Sreeny Green was my daddy's niece.
I'm talking about Zolly. Zolly and Sreeny was cousins, and that made Ray second cousin to Zolly.
Well, I met him. He and I've been over his house and got plowed through his pictures and everything. So I need to go back and see him again. And he said he thought we was kin.
Yeah.
And I told him that it looked like we was, but he didn't really know enough about. I had found out that men don't know much about their family as the women folk do.
Yeah.
And if you want to find some pictures, the women folk seem to keep the pictures. See,
Right.
Uncle Monroe's got 2 or 3 pictures, and Uncle Hack had just a few, but Aunt Callie got a whole shoebox full. So
Lord mercy, I don't know. I had that thing full, and that part of mine's gone. I know it's gone.
but
Somebody been in my pictures.
well, I was interested in that because I want to meet with Ray and see what else he might have. Now, she married Miss Serena married a Taylor,
Sam
and
Taylor.
Sam Taylor, and see, my Aunt Laura married a John Taylor.
Yeah.
Was them Taylors any kin?
I don't think they were. I don't know now, but I don't. If they were, I don't know.
But I got a good picture of Aunt Laura, and that was one of Neely's sisters.
Yeah.
But then there was let's see if I can. I thought I had them here on top, the ones that I was going to ask you about. I can guess. I got kind of where I could recognize Uncle Zolly in the pictures.
You could.
And after I got you see the pictures that I found of him in here was the only time I'd ever seen a picture of him at all. I had never seen. But this is a small picture, and I believe that's Uncle Zolly there in the middle.
Yeah, it is.
But can you tell who those other 2 men
No,
are?
Yeah, I can't tell. I believe it's Walter Thomas, and who is it, Joe? I can't see now, but I remember them that was made.
Yeah.
Is it Walter Thomas and who?
That's his son.
Huh?
That looks like Wilson.
No, it ain't. It's Zolly's standing between them.
Well, who's them 2 men?
It's Walter Thomas, it's Herschel Gibson.
Okay.
I don't know where it is now.
Yeah, they
Okay.
do that.
The reason I took it is I thought it might be his brothers or
No, it's
something
not.
like that.
His brothers, I don't
Here's
recognize.
interesting. Here's a picture of a real old man with a cane and a hat, and he's got a beard.
Yeah, that's Mr. Gilbert. He was passing one day, and I always did think he put me in mind of my daddy. And I said, Mr. Gilbert, would you come here and let me take your picture? I was taking a picture, and he said, what do you want with my picture, Miss Green? I said, you favor my daddy so much. And I take him.
Let me see it.
What was his first name?
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Mr. Gilbert.
Mr. Gilbert.
Oh, bless his heart, he did it.
He looks like a real stately gentleman.
He was.
Yeah, he's coming. Let me take him.
Let's see that. I didn't know who those folks were. I didn't know if that was Zolly there. It kind of favors him, but
No, that's Sam Cripps and his wife.
Sam Cripps. Okay.
Ooh,
Sam Cripps and his wife. She said. I don't. Here's
where'd you get that?
But I don't know. I've had that.
here's a real old one of a man and woman, and
Been in the
Lord, I
farm.
didn't know you had that, Effie.
Who is that?
That's Altie.
Huh?
That's Altie, quick tea.
Is that Altie?
Yep,
It's Altie and
quick tea.
no, it's not
Yes,
either.
it is.
Well,
Altie, quick tea. Altie, Lamy, Clyde.
yes, I thought that's Altie's family.
okay.
Lord, I didn't know
A man
that
and a
name,
baby.
Marcy.
Was her husband's name Clyde?
Lum,
Lum?
Lum.
Lum.
The baby's named
That's
Clyde.
her family.
Okay, and the baby's name's Clyde. Well, I made a copy of that one. And, let's see, here's another. There's a young man that's standing with his hat on, all dressed up in a suit.
In the suit.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's John Johnson. That's my cousin back home,
Really?
back to Smithville.
Well, I wonder if any of his people still live up there.
Yes, he's got.
The Johnson.
He's dead himself, but he's got some people up there,
That's he.
some sisters.
Lord,
Well, those are mostly the ones that I had a question about because they were the oldest pictures, but the rest of them, I guess, is your kids and grandkids and all, but
No, my new pictures, I don't know where they at. I tried to find them when you were here the other evening. I can't find them. I had them in the big old envelope.
let's see, I had to get my scrap paper out again. Now, you had your children was you had Flonnie and Willie. Now, was Willie married to Rice, didn't she?
Yeah, first time.
Okay,
Last time she married her. Mays.
Mays.
He died the other day.
Really? Well, I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
He sure did. You had to give up two men, good men, both of them.
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't even know. Then Grace,
Yeah,
and then Wilson, and Carl.
yeah,
And you said that you've lost a son named James.
yeah.
Is that all your children then?
All my children.
And all of them's living but one?
All but one.
Well, the Lord's been good to you. That's
Yeah, I've kept all my children but one. That's the little baby died.
And Miss Beagle, you married William Anderson, and y'all had James and Margaret and Eugene and Helen,
right.
and then you married Perry Beagle, and y'all didn't have any children together. Well, and I'll tell you what, that sure does fill in
Show you my baby.
a lot of blank places. I didn't have any idea why the folks came down to this part or how they wound up. Alabama's always been home to me. That's your children?
That's my baby.
Well, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful
She
woman.
passed away in 1980.
I didn't know it. What's her name?
Helen.
That's Helen. Is her husband still living?
Yeah, he's still living. He's married again.
Well, she sure is a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
What took her? What caused her death?
Well, I don't really know. Liver trouble, I think, or liver something.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Did they have any children?
Oh, yeah, they had 3 there, their babies.
Very well. He's a nice-looking young man. Well,
That other one over there. Who's that, right? Who is that?
is that Dwight there?
It's Dwight and Jackie. That's Johnny's two.
Those are 2 real good pictures.
We lived together 67 years.
That's a long time to put up with anybody, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'd have put up with him 60 more.
Well, I wish I had known him myself. Did he die in 66?
He died in 65.
65.
No, 75. He died July the 4th in 75.
Yeah, that's right. I remember reading it on his stone now. He died on Independence Day.
Yeah, that's when he died.
How long have y'all lived here? Is this
We lived here about 40-something years. 45.
in this
40.
house or just in this place?
We lived in this house.
That picture, they were there till 1951.
What picture?
Well, y'all had made together cutting your cake.
What?
They've been married 51 years.
I know it we had, but I told
Yeah.
her we lived together
Oh.
till Solid died.
Yeah.
67 years.
That was several years before that happened,
Yeah, that's several years ago. Solid was sick when that happened.
What took Uncle Zolid?
I never did know. The doctor didn't know. He was sick. He complained a long time. He'd take a hurting right in here in his stomach somehow, and he'd just get all over him, and he'd take on. It'd be awful. I'd have to give him some of these, and he'd take on. It'd just awful. I couldn't stand it. And he done that long as he lived. The doctor never did know what it was.
What do you remember about Hack and Callie and Monroe as they were kids? Anything particular about them that comes to mind when you think about
No, I don't.
them and seeing them and everything?
No, I thought a lot of Monroe. I just loved Monroe. He was better to me than any of them was. He was good to me, Monroe, and I loved him. He had a different nature than the rest of them, you know. And he was good to me as he could be.
Did you know it was Callie? Did she help around the house and things like that?
Yes, she
Did she have a bad temper?
She's high strong.
she's
Well, that's-
high-tempered.
that's-
She's high-tempered.
That's pretty much like the Baines, I guess.
Yeah.
We still have to watch out for that. But
Monroe wasn't, though. He was good terms.
yeah, he seemed to be even-tempered. It's hard to make him mad now, I
Yeah, I
guess.
guess what you did. I ain't seen Monroe since. I don't believe I've seen him since Candy
Now,
passed
my Echo was a good natured.
Yeah, he was real quiet. Seemed like when I knew him,
away. Haskell was.
he just seemed like he was quiet, and he was a farmer.
Mhm.
Yeah. His son, Grady Paul, still does quite a smart farming out there, and
Right.
I guess he's took over the land that his daddy owned out there on the Bain Road. The old Bain place is still standing out there where Neely died at, and
It is.
this little cabin. Daddy took me out there not too long ago, and he said that they've added a room or two onto it, but he said it's pretty much still the
Who
same as it
lives
was.
there?
Grady still owns it, but there's nobody that lives in it. It's just
They
a
don't.
little small house. And I don't guess anybody's lived in it for 35, 40 years, something like that.
Old Villa ain't never married no more.
No, but she's real active in her church. She goes out there to the Church of Christ. You know, her and Uncle Hack
Yeah,
went there.
there's Church of Christ. Oh.
And she, Grady's first wife, and he were divorced, and so he has married another woman, a Toon woman. She's real nice, Julie, and they live right there next to Ain't Ovella. And my Uncle Bill Elrod, he passed away about 3 or 4 months
he
ago.
did.
And he lived just up the road from Ovella, and Marie still lives there. His Aunt Marie. But Aunt Ovella does pretty well, I guess. I don't know if she gets lonely. I think she keeps pretty busy, and she had to learn how to drive a car after Uncle Hack died.
Yeah.
She got out there in the cornfield, I think, and drove the car around until she learned how. She drives herself to church and goes to get her hair fixed, and goes. I never have met her, a pastor in town or anything like that. She don't go much, but she can if she wants to, and her health seems to be real good. And when Neely married Avo, Avo already had. She was my grandmother. She had already had. She married Elrod first, and that was Bill, and was one of her kids, Bill Elrod, and Ovella and Inez. And Aunt Inez is still living. And
I believe that's a good woman.
She married Willie Johns, but he's been gone, I guess, nearly 20 years now.
I sure do think a lot of Inez.
I bet she don't weigh 50 pounds. She just
Oh no, I don't believe she don't weigh much.
a little old skinny woman, but she's doing pretty well, I guess. It's been since Uncle Bill's funeral that I've seen her, I guess. And then when Neely and Avo married, they had Carrie and Howard, and my dad was Walt.
Howard, that's it.
Daddy lives in Decatur. He was Walt, and then Howard lives in Gardendale. That's where Avo's buried at, over at Gardendale. Her mom and daddy were the Hayeses.
Hayes.
Jasper Hayes was her daddy, and Almedia. Jasper and Almedia Hayes. And Carrie still lives up in Michigan.
I never have seen that girl, unless it was when Neely was buried, and I didn't know her.
You probably did. I'm sure you did. But Carrie married. Let me see here. You've got some folks pulled up here.
That's my boy.
Is it?
That's Wilson.
Well, good.
It's Will.
Well, I'm glad he popped in. I get to
Come
meet
in,
him.
son.
How you?
Hello there. I believe I've met you before, hadn't I?
What are you
I think
doing?
so.
Oh,
I saw you over at the cemetery over at McConnell's one time.
Is that right?
Give me directions to find some
you?
kinfolk.
There I guess.
I don't know that.
Do I guess.
Hi, Pearl.
I did.
Hello, I'm Dennis Bain.
That's Neely.
And Neely Bain was my granddaddy.
Is that right?
Yeah, so
You're the
I'm,
one that borrowed the picture.
yes, that's right. I'm glad to
Well, I'm
meet you.
Pearl.
Glad to meet you, Miss Pearl. I hope I'm not anybody's favorite chair over here. I was just fixing to show them. My granddaddy married Ada Green the first time he was married, and I told him I had their marriage certificate right here.
I know Neely married one of Daddy's sisters.
See there?
Yeah.
From DeKalb County, and it says Neely Bain right there, and Ada Green. And they was married on the 13th of July, 1900.
1900.
Uh-huh.
1900.
So,
Oh, boy.
that's the... I went up to...
Tracy, your family tree.
Yes, ma'am. I was just telling them that my little girl's just 2 years old, and she was born up in Arkansas, but when I didn't think too much about family till she came along, and when she was born, I started wondering, that family became a little more important to me, so I started tracking down. I just met Miss Green, Miss Beagles just last week. I'd seen Uncle Zolly's name on a lot of different documents that I'd plowed through in the courthouses and whatnot, but I had no notion that his wife was still alive. So Callie Sledge's daughter brought me over here and introduced me last week, and I borrowed their pictures and brought them back today and made copies. And I just now thought I was talking about Ada, and I remembered that I had her marriage certificate here. But then there's Uncle Silas Bain. I don't know if you ever knew
Where'd you
him.
get that, Memphis?
Yes, ma'am. Went up there in the courthouse and made a copy of it. I've got a trip planned up there again soon to do some more kicking around. And here's Neely and Avo's marriage certificate.
It is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They were married here in Limestone County.
Yeah, they were.
But got got their marriage certificate, and then of course all different kinds of things in here. I've got the things I've copied in libraries and courthouses. But
Who was your grandmother?
my grandmother was Avo. She was a Hayes.
Yeah.
My dad was Walt Bain. When Avo and Neely married, they had Carrie and Howard and Walt. And my daddy was the baby. And, my dad lives in Decatur. I'm the pastor up here at the Woolly Springs Baptist Church now, And my wife, we were raised in Decatur, but I've been, since I started preaching about 15 years ago, I pastored a church up in Tennessee, out in Arkansas, and then this is my third church. It's up at near Bethel, near Ardmore.
Yeah.
Which church?
Woolly Springs Baptist Church. I was trying to think. Miss Pearl, I think I was kicking around looking for Callie's Aunt Callie Sledge's grave up there one time, and I believe you were there with somebody, and you maybe I confused you with somebody else, but might have been. But my dad had told me that's where she was buried, but she's buried up here at the Athens Cemetery.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, for some reason or other, he thought he was buried there where Uncle Hack's buried. So, but he was thinking of Uncle Hack's the day he was buried, though. But I've got all kinds of pictures here. What I've done, I've got a setup with my camera where I can make a picture of a picture. So that's why I borrowed the pictures so I could make some copies. I didn't have a picture of Uncle Zolly at all. Got some. Here we go.
Well, you found one in there, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am. I made a copy of it.
Did you?
And here's some old pictures. Now this is the picture of Granddaddy Neely that Monroe has. It's in kind of bad shape, but this is a close up of it.
That's Neely.
Yeah, that's Neely.
There's Neely and Avo right there.
Yeah. That sure is.
Now this is three boys right here. That's Grady Paul, that's Hack's boy, and that's Howard, and that's my daddy right there. Now that's Carrie and her husband, J.P. Wallace.
They both killed.
And here's Avo, and there's my daddy, and there's Howard.
Oh, let's see.
Let's see here.
Oh, that looks like Neely.
Yeah, that's the oldest picture I've got of it.
I have pictures in my box, but it's gone. A good picture, you know, Wilson. Good one.
Got one in the fire, though.
Huh?
A lot of your pictures got one in
Yes,
the
I
fire.
expected.
That's
I expected a lot of them. They've been through far twice.
Okay.
That's Edgar Elrod. That's some of Avo's people, and that's their grandson. Here's Inez Johns. There's a picture of Callie. I've got some better pictures of her now. And there's Aunt Laura. That's Neely's sister. But here's the old Bain place. It's out there on the Bain Road now. That's the way it looks right now. That's where Neely died at.
It is, ain't
That's where Neely passed away at.
it? Oh, yeah. Wilson, that's where your granddaddy used to live.
But I don't think.
Well, I can't see it, Aunt Joe.
That's where Neely.
That's where Neely passed away, right there.
Right there.
It's still standing. I got a picture of that. Let's see if somebody else y'all might know. There's Uncle Monroe.
Where's Monroe?
Right here.
Because in the middle of Monroe.
Yeah.
Well, that top was him too.
I've got several of them
I can't
stacked
see
up there.
nothing
Yeah.
to tell what nothing is hardly.
Here's a picture of Hack. That's an old picture that Uncle Monroe's got.
Yeah.
And there's where Hack's buried, over there at McConnell Cemetery. Let's see. And then here's out at Fairview. That's where Neely's buried.
Was Neely?
Yeah, there's Fairview Church.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's Fairview
Yeah.
Church.
It sure is. Yep.
Uncle George is buried out there. He had a brother named George. He doesn't have a stone, but Uncle George and Aunt Tenny are buried there. This is my brother and his wife. That's my dad and his second wife. But here's another picture of Neely.
Oh, and Effie, that's the one you're talking about. That's Neely.
She looks familiar.
She was a leg. That's Helen Legg. She was before that. See, her first husband died, but let's see if I can remember. Can't remember her maiden name though. That's most of my family. That's my little girl right there. I've got oodles and scoodles of pictures of her.
Yeah.
And there's my mother. That's my daddy's first wife, feeding the baby. Let's see. Most of these are just of
Your
her.
daddy's first wife.
So my dad's been married twice. He's.
I know he has. His first wife was Ada.
No, my daddy.
His daddy.
Not-
had
Oh,
one.
not-
your
not-
dad.
not my
Talking
gra-
about his
I'm
I'm
granddaddy.
talking about granddaddy. That's
Yes,
right.
I know.
And there's my baby. But I'm doing my mother's family too. So I've got these are the Brownings. That was my mama's people. So I'm going around and bothering all them kinfolk too. And there's my grandmother. She lived up around where Mays Memorial Church is. She's buried over here at Athens City Cemetery.
Well, you probably knew the Brownie.
James Browning was my granddaddy.
Did he kill himself?
No, his brother did.
Oh.
His brother was named Doc.
I know a lot of
Or-
They lived up in Fizzy.
Uh-huh,
Killed
yeah.
himself. Mike used to work at the cleaners with me.
Mikey, he's my cousin.
I used to work with him up at Dry Cleaners.
Yeah, he lives up there near me now. Up there, we live up near Ardmore.
GM now, right?
I can't even remember. I've seen him one time since we moved
Seems
back.
like he works at GM now, but he married the girl that her father owned the cleaners before I used to work. And Mike worked up there. So then they separated.
And he's gonna bring me
She's
one.
in Texas, but somebody told me he remarried.
Gonna do what?
And he was working at GM, but I hadn't seen him. I was just working with
I was just fixing to leave when I went and got these pictures and everything. I'm glad that y'all came in and got to meet you.
him. Well, we couldn't figure out, she told us,
Did they tell
she
you
tried
that
to tell us.
my granddaddy and my grandmother were brothers and sisters?
Now you start that.
No, I don't
please.
think so.
Thank you, Lord.
I'm my own grandpa, something like that.
That's the way they like to be now.
I didn't know it till my daddy died.
He didn't know it.
And I went to the funeral home, and they asked me what my granddaddy's name was, or daddy's daddy. I told them. They said, well, now, I said, well, who
That was Monroe Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said, who was his mother? And I don't know. I come back home and found out it was my granddaddy's sister.
Her daddy's.
Okay. Mr. Lyle's sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was my granddaddy Lyle's
I know he
sister.
started something when he got
Married my
here.
granddaddy Green.
Mr. Green.
But I didn't know that now till my dad. They wouldn't tell me.
Well, we
My
had
daddy, and their mother was sisters.
His grandmother.
My grandmother, my granddaddy on one side, and my grandmother on the other side of the road.
Hey.
half brothers and sisters.
Wasn't it half brothers and sisters?
Now you got me confused. I'm lost. It's hard for me to keep track of it.
My grandmama Green, she was alive.
Yeah.
My granddaddy was alive on mama's side. They were brothers and sisters. So Hal Green married Ma Green.
There's your-
Ma Lyle, but she was Green after marriage. She was alive before.
What did
My
he say,
granddaddy's
Wilson?
sister on the Lyle side.
I mean, double first cousins. I mean, would be.
Lord, I don't know. My sister's my cousin.
No, when I first met him, he told me one of his sisters was his aunt and his sister, and I said, I'm about to believe it now.
What no?
Grandma.
Wilson used to tell me when I first met him that Willie was his sister and his aunt. And I said, now I'm just about to believe it.
Are you about to
His
leave?
grandma and her sister, my brothers. And they both come to us.
That just doubled the kin, didn't it?
We must.
So I
I think
can,
everybody that comes from
We all
Smithville
live
it's kin, yeah, they were in some way or another.
to hear them sit and talk.
I've kicked around in Smithville a lot, and must have been a big wagon train of them pulled out there around the same time and came down here and
Yeah.
homesteaded because things got rough up there, I guess. And
Well, they lived back up there in them hollers, and there wasn't nobody else from the married but kinfolk.
well, there was see my great granddaddy was Archibald Bain, and he married Hicksy Farrell first, and she died, and then he married a Titsworth.
Well, them Farrells is mixed up this family too.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
Farrells and Titsworths
Ain't
and
it, Mama?
Greens.
Huh?
The Farrells is mixed up in this family some way.
Oh,
Farrells
I don't know.
on the green
They're
side.
Greens and
No,
Taylors.
I think Elliot just wanted to marry Aunt Joe.
that's all.
Well, he always called Daddy Uncle Solomon.
I know he
That's all
always
right.
said that, but he wasn't his uncle.
He didn't know no
He just done
better.
that.
About Enoch Farrell now. They was kin to y'all some way now.
Enoch Pearl was kin to Dolly's son.
Kin to Daddy.
Yeah.
Well, I
he
know
was
they was
to
kin
Dolly
to
a
Daddy
little,
now. I
a
know.
little,
I've heard them talk, man.
but not
He
much.
Oh, it's just amazing to sit and listen to them talk.
I've got tape recorder running, so I'm not having to worry about it. I'll figure it all out after a while. I told her when I first started this trek, I started jotting it down, but I got to where I couldn't write it all down. Couldn't catch it, so I just bring a tape recorder everywhere I go. But,
It's amazing.
Jackie started to write it down time or two, and she'd get so far and she'd have to stop. She said she couldn't do
Well,
it.
she was running a family tree, started.
She's right.
Found out there's all kin folks, quit.
I've gotten back as far as Archibald Bain was my great-granddaddy, and his daddy was named Archibald Bain, and his wife Sarah. I've tracked them back to, was born in South Carolina, and he was born in Virginia. So, but I hadn't found the boat they came over on. But it was my great-great-granddaddy Bain was born in 1776 in Virginia, and that was when the United States was just beginning to be settled, and they figure our people would come over from Scotland and Ireland, something like that. There's Bains on both sides of the creek there. But I've enjoyed it. It's more than anything else, it's just given me a good excuse to meet a lot of kinfolk who are still living and everything, and talk with them and learn a little bit. So I'm hoping, though, by this time next year that I'll have a book out. I'm a book writer, so I didn't do this till just a few years ago. It used to be that only real scholars or real sharp people wrote books, but nearly everybody and their uncle's writing a book now, and it's not as uppity, I guess it used to be. So when I get all this put together, I'll just get it published, and that way it'll be for my kids and grandkids to have for later on, and they'll know a little something. But I'm afraid if it. So my daddy didn't hardly know anything. I started asking him questions. And men don't really collect things. If you want to find pictures, usually the women have the pictures, mothers and grandmothers and sisters. Uncle Monroe just had 2 or 3 pictures. Now he's got a good memory though, and he's filled me in on a lot. But there's a lot of things he couldn't remember, and Miss Green's helped me a lot with those. I didn't have any idea how the Bains came down, but it was. Uncle Zolly's mom and daddy were raised Neely's kids, and so when they moved down here, the Lyles moved down, and then Zolly and Effie moved down here with them to try to make a go of it, and things were a little bit more prosperous around through here, and then and Zolly's mom and dad came down here, moved down to Limestone County, and they brought my aunts and uncles with them, and so Neely followed them down here, and from that time on, Bains have kind of camped out around here. But there's still a whole bunch of Bains in Smithville, though. There's still 30 or 40 families of Bains up through there. Ken Son House. Well, I better get on, folks. I was hit it on out. I sure appreciate y'all taking the time.
Well, we appreciate you
We
coming.
crazy.
Well, that's what makes it fun.
We're crazy.
Well, that only confirms that I'm kin to you, though, so because I'm crazy too. All right, y'all have a good day, though, and I'm glad to meet
Thank
y'all.
you. You come back.
I sure will, and I had my wife and baby with me last time, but they get a little bored sitting around listening about my family all the time. But
Yeah.
I told Terry when we got through with both sides of my family, if she wanted to track down the Evanses and the Etheridges on her side, that we'd do that. So,
You bring me that
Is she
picture
from
now.
pardon?
Was she raised here?
She's raised over in Morgan County. We were both raised around Decatur over there, and her people go back a lot longer over there than my dad is. Only members of our family, I guess, there lived over in Morgan County for any length of time. Then Howard down in Birmingham around Gardendale, that's where Avo was buried. But I've never known anything but Alabama, but our people lived for years, 100 to 150 years around Smithville. So it, I've gone up there, we went up there camping out this summer. We camped outside of town at the Edgar Evans State Park up there, and then while they drove around the shop and go window shopping and everything, I went to the courthouse and visited a few people out there, and I'm hoping to go back again soon, because I'm trying to track down, see, I'm really interested in getting more pictures. If I can get, I never had a picture of Zolly till I came here. If I can gather a few things, and that's anybody that has mention in the book, I wish I had a picture of. So I'll go like that. But I'll get on back. Y'all take care and stay warm as it gets cold.
Well, you all do the same.
All right, and if
We'll try to stay warm.
get you hold of a radio or something like that, tune in on the radio program on
We
Sunday
ain't got
morning.
no radio now. I told
It's
you.
at 8:15 on Sunday morning on WSLV, the Ardmore radio station. I appreciate
We
it.
need a radio, don't
Maybe if you hint around, Wilson will get you a radio for Christmas.
They got one, but no return.
It won't play. It won't get nothing.
Well, I've got a few like that myself. Looks like it's clouding up again. I'm hoping we're through with the rain for a while, though. We'll see y'all later.
Okay, come back.
Y'all holler if there's ever anything I can do for you, if I can run an errand for you or here or there. But I'll tell Uncle Monroe that I got to meet you. I hope to find him doing well. All right, I'll do that. He could walk over here. He don't live no farther than a couple of blocks. That's what he ought to do. He walks all over the country anyway. I'll do that. We'll see y'all later then. Okay, thank you, Miss Green.